Good morning, um, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We want to welcome you here to SKTV. Welcome to each and every one of you. Today, we are here to have a conversation or be in an interview with MacDella Cooper. We want to welcome each and every one of you to the show today. Welcome, 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 and welcome. And please help us share the show. Sorry, I'm coordinating some things here at once while I wait for the rest of the team members to join us. But welcome to the show. Today is Sunday, May 1st. Can you imagine? We are in a brand new month, um, the fifth month of the year, 2022. 2022 seemed to be going very, very fast as we were just saying Happy New Year to one another few months, few days ago, a few weeks ago. Now we're in the fifth month. Next month would be our, our birth month, and we start taking gift from there all the way to December. But let's get to some serious thing here. Um, we want to welcome all of you, those of you watching us from Europe, Asia, the Americas, Liberia, most especially Liberia, especially those of you that have issues with data, but yet you're sacrificing to follow us, to watch us. We want you to please share the show, invite someone as we get prepared here for the conversation. We want to welcome all of you. Thank you for being committed to SKTV, for following us, for sharing the show. We're still working on the technical issues we've had. So thank you. Thank you for following us from all around the world. Some people would watch us from Japan, China, Australia, and other parts of the world. Very interesting, how we can connect. We want to welcome each and every one of you. We want to welcome each and every one of you to the show today. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. We expect to have an exciting show here with Madam MacDella Cooper. We look forward to it. Invite someone, share the show. We want to quickly, as always, recognize the Liberian people as the most important people on earth. As you are already aware and I'm aware, Liberian people are very important. But most importantly, we want to recognize the Liberian women. We believe that they're the most beautiful women on earth, and you will see the evidence of that saying on a daily basis and on a regular, as we would say. But I want to welcome all of you. Welcome to the show. Help us share the show. Invite someone. Let's share the show. As we get started here, let's share the show. Let's share the show. As we get started here, we are with our guests and also members of the panel. We want to bring you some other news. Every time we say the truth, people think that we hit whether the government or the opposition. But we want to bring you other news. Vice President Joseph Yuma Braka, as you're already aware, should be taking his stands anytime soon as one of the witnesses. Some term him as government witness. Some term him as, regardless of how you want to determine, the fact of the matter is he is testifying as one of the witnesses for the government. That is just a fact, whether you like it or not. So you can put any name or any title you want to put on it. It's the fact. It doesn't change. That's one of the updates. Another update also is the Supreme Court ruled, as opposed to what you saw on Facebook, the Supreme Court ruled that there should be 72 hours. The Liberty Party should be meeting and going back over the constitution and so forth. So I think that process is in place. We are hoping to gather information, what will happen next from there. But hopefully by tomorrow, we should be able to update you. In other news, Air France left Liberia as of yesterday. As of yesterday, the last flight took off. So Air France left Liberia, as they've said, in one of the official postings or communications, that they would be leaving by the end of April, which was April 30th yesterday. So they've left. And yes. So let's keep sharing the show. Let's invite other people. In other news, all right. Okay, I think our guest is here, but as we always do, we would do our regular things that we always do before our guest comes on. We'll do what we normally and regularly do. Help us share the show, invite your friends, tell your friends about what's happening today. We have here with us our guest, MacDella Cooper. You would be hearing from her directly. There's a note they say now. You'll be hearing from MacDella Cooper directly. I myself, I'm anxious too. I'm excited because I've never had an opportunity to interact with her apart from maybe communications, texting or so forth. Apart from that, I've never had an opportunity. This will be our first interaction. But so we are anticipating and willing to listen to her and hear from her what she has to tell the Liberian people. But let's share the show really quick. Disclaimer, as we always do, let's show some respect, some love, and some honor to our guests, as we've always done to every other guest that have been here, especially political leaders, business people, entrepreneurs, philanthropists. Regardless of their titles, we've always shown Liberians and our guests here respect and love. Let's do the same today so that our guest feels welcome and she can come back any other time we invite her. So let's get quickly to the musical break here, and right after that, we will be bringing our guests. Let's get to the musical break really quick. We own no copyright to this song. I don't know, today that's Sunday and there's a new month, so we'll go traditional. Let's go traditional as always because we're Liberians now. You all know now. We can't forget about that part. So let's go traditional really quick. Invite someone. Let's share the show and let's tell someone about what's happening here today. Thank you.
You
Thank you, and thank you to our viewers and our listeners. Today I couldn't dance. Tomorrow I will dance. I promise you, because we are moving on here with time. So I didn't want to dance. I'm not sure. I'm not going to tell you if MacDella Cooper was dancing. She'll probably tell you that because I don't know what's going on. But let's bring on and see if she would tell us if she was dancing or not. Because all of us love this song as Liberians, and we know, I don't know the interpretation. Maybe she'll interpret for us too. You never know. So let's try and see. We could be lucky today to get someone to interpret for us. But let's welcome our guest here today. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, MacDella Cooper. How are you?
Very well, very well. And how about you?
I'm doing very well. Welcome to SKTV.
Thank you so much for having me as your guest today. It's an honor to always be able to sit here and have these conversations.
Well, I believe this is your debut. This is your first time ever on SKTV, right?
That's right. That's right. It's my first time on here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Right. Well, momentarily we'll have one or two of our panelists join us as well. The co-host, they will join us as
Okay.
well. Sekou is the main host. He should be joining in a few minutes from now. He just alerted us. And Telvi also would be joining us. But quickly, before we get into any other matter, I don't know, the people want to know if you were dancing in the back, if you're dancing to that music, to that song.
Of course, I was moving small to the song, but the boy can dance more than me. The boy can shake it too much. That's small thing the boy do over there.
I know. Well, it's I don't know if you know the interpretation of that song, because we've been trying to get a full interpretation of that song. I don't know if you can help us with that.
Well, no, it's exactly, because I have to actually go back on YouTube and listen to it. The audio was not so great from my end. Maybe it was just my end, because I'm on the road traveling. So I couldn't really hear the song very well. And I've heard it before, but again, I need to get a better audio sound with it so I can hear the words and lyrics.
Okay, definitely. So hopefully the next time we should invite you here, we'll probably have an answer to that.
I would drop the interpretation fast.
All right. Okay, great. Well, if you're just following us or if you're just joining us, this is SKTV. We want to welcome each and every one of you. Please share the show. As a disclaimer, let's make this disclaimer really quick before we get into the conversation here. As you're already aware and you already know, we have a guest today. Please be nice to our guests, respectful, as you always do. And also, let's ensure that if you have your question, your concern, we'll have the opportunity to open the lines so that you can ask direct questions or interact with MacDella Cooper for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes or so that we're here. But again, most important things, let's share the show. Let's invite other people to the show as we're going to dive into the conversation. We've heard the name MacDella Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the name is strange.
Yeah.
But then the question becomes, who is MacDella Cooper?
Well, Steve, I will say this much. I'm usually not very good at talking about myself, but I will, for the sake of this show, I will try to dive into it as best as I can. My background is similar to every other Liberian's background. I hail from, at least my mother's side of the family, I hail from Yanyakan, River G County. And my father is from the other side on the Bon County, Monserrato area. And but I was raised in a small village called Yanyakan, all the way in the bushes of River G. And the big cities those during those days, the mid 70s, was Hapa, Plibo. So those were the big cities. When you hear your parents going to Hapa and Plibo, you know something good was coming for you. So I was raised in Yanyakan, went to my early school, and then eventually in 1984, my mother brought me to Monrovia for the first time. And I lived in Monrovia with my mom, and she had just gotten married to a wonderful gentleman named J. Benny Deble. Deble was from Jiripo, which is right in the region there, and he worked for the United Nations UNCHR. He was High Commissioner. And we went to, life was regular like everybody else. I went to Carver Baptist Carver Baptist Elementary School before high school. And then by 1989, we moved over to Ghana Vesa, right behind St. Michael's School. Then I went to Jimmy Jidokon until 1989. And then by 1989, I told my parents I really wanted to live like a big girl. I want to go to cathedral. It was my dream to go to cathedral. So I begged my parents. I made good grades. So my parents enrolled me in cathedral in 1990. But by then, it was not too long before the war started. So we all, as you know, we all went our ways. I was 13 years old when the war started in 1990. My mother got displaced. My father got displaced. And eventually my father was killed. Innocent man. He was just mistaken for somebody else, and they killed him because he spoke Gribble, Kru, and Kram. He spoke all the southeastern languages or dialects. And my brothers and I just sort of wandered around until we found ourselves in a refugee camp in Ivory Coast, in Denane, where we stayed for a couple of months until our mother could find a way to get us to Abidjan, to the capital. And then she started working on our immigration people to get us to America. That process took 2.5 years before we got our papers to come to America. Then when we entered America, now they gave us green card to stay here. So we lived in America. I went to high school, Barringer High School, right there in Newark, New Jersey, on First Street. Right there, I got for 3 years of high school, and then I got a full academic and sports athletic scholarship to go to any school of my choice because I graduated number 3 in my graduating class of 1,200 students. I was not the best student, I would say, but I was a very disciplined student. I did my work. I didn't cause trouble, and I got that scholarship because I knew without that scholarship, I wouldn't have ever been able to afford a university education. So I worked hard. I got a 4-year academic and athletic scholarship to go to any college of my choice in the state of New Jersey. I attended the College of New Jersey where I did my 4-year, and I came out with flying colors. I was immediately hired from my college, my university, and I started work in corporate America in New York, made some good money, and eventually started the MacDella Cooper Foundation. And that foundation just channeled resources to returning refugees because I was wondering what had happened to so many people who I knew. And so when I had a chance and I was successful in New York, I started to give back small to the foundation. And that effort grew into today building schools, paying scholarships, helping women's groups. And, I started to notice that the work I was doing through the charity was not a independent or citizen, just a citizen's responsibility to people of Liberia. It was the government responsibility. And so I tried to find my way into policies, which is influencing policies. How can we affect and change policies that will give people the basic social services that they need? Not always for free, but at least give Liberian people the tools they needed to create a life for themselves and be able to take care of themselves. And so that's how I sort of got from the philanthropic side to the politics side. And I ran for office in 2017, came number 7. And the story goes on where I started the Movement for One Liberia, which is a political platform to give women, the young people and other minorities, like people living with disability, a platform to run for office without discrimination. And that's where we are today. Today we're in 2022. And that's the MacDella Cooper that I can say I am.
That's the MacDella Cooper that I can say I am. Those are the words of MacDella Cooper. If you are just joining us, you are following us on SKTV, please feel free to share the show, invite someone so that we can hear from MacDella Cooper. I want to establish this first about you before we can move any further into anything else.
Sure.
You've been able to navigate through the typical Liberian way of speaking and maybe the American way of speaking. How do you do that?
The international way.
Right.
Well, Steve, look, there are 2 languages that are spoken across the world. Our traditional language, and the language that we speak to make money, to survive. Mm-hmm. And I'm no fool. I like to make money. It's just part of my DNA. I like to make money. I like to own my own money because I like to own my own things. And so it's very important that I spoke the language of corporate America. If I lived in Europe, I would have spoken the corporate language of the European financial society. And so that's how I see the world. There's a global economy. We all want to be a part of that, a competitive part of that global economy. And so we must be able to negotiate. That means we must be able to speak the lingo and the language of that society. And so for me, I'm no fool. I know where money comes from. And so I need to be able to enter those spaces. And so I can go between my international lingo that I speak. I speak French, I understand Italian, and I speak my real Gribble language from River G.
Okay, wonderful. So that means at some point I can ask you questions in French and you'll be able to answer, right?
Absolutely. Mais je
Okay,
comprends
cool.
plus que je parle. Donc, fais doucement avec moi.
Okay, no problem. We're definitely going slow. We'll be very slow and easy. But I want to bring your attention to something because it's important for us to establish how we connected.
Yeah,
You and I were friends on LinkedIn, and we
that's right.
connected on LinkedIn for the very first time. And
Mm-hmm.
this connection came about, and I wanted to make the connection related premises here, considering you spoke about your foundation helping women and underprivileged, disabled people, whether getting into politics or having a voice or empowering them and so forth. But
That's right.
I want to pick up this portion of women in politics in Liberia. Considering when I reached out to you for the very first time, which was a big concern I had, was on December 8th, 2020, right
Mm.
before the December 2020
Midterm.
election, midterm
Yeah.
election, the senatorial elections. I reached out
Mm.
to you concerning a woman by the name Jemima Wolo Kwali. And I asked you
Mm.
this question. I said to you, what do you make of, I say I'm very concerned. What do you make of the latest endorsement of Jemima Wolo Kwali at the 11th hour of Thomas Fala? What do you say about that in relation to women sticking with the
Yeah.
program? Because someone could say, women are not serious. You will push them at the
Mm.
last minute, they will give up or they will turn in. What do you say about that?
Well, look, Jemima Wole is a wonderful woman. But unfortunately, a lot of women on the continent and globally, if I quote some numbers from the Beijing conference on 1995, governments across the world were encouraged to give women more space, at least a seat at the decision-making table across the world. Those numbers have only reached 35%. Women still don't have access to their own resources, at least on the level that they'll be able to create their own industries and corporations and political parties. And so women still have to fit in, if you may get my meaning here. Women still have to fit in. Jemima Wole was one of the establishing member of CDC. And Jemima, like she's no fool. She was never going to let go of her her attachment to her political party that she was part of the founding members of. And yes, the way Jemima Wole stepped away from her election was not one that I would have encouraged. It wasn't desirable. It was not a desirable way to do it. But I knew, at the end, I knew exactly what Jemima Wole was trying to do. She had invested in the political party, although she wasn't getting the sort of attention, the credit, the support that she needed from her political team or political party's team. She left. And when she left, as usual, women, leaving institutions, they get ridiculed. They have to pay a price because these men who are in these positions of leadership feel that they own the women in their institutions. And those women have to be good girls, otherwise they get ousted or shamed. And so Jemima Wole she was ill treated, she was shamed, she was pushed out of her job, and she's a fighter. She's an absolute fighter, and she was not going to let go. So her decision to leave the MOL, to drop out of the race to go and support the candidate of her party. Look, everybody have a reason to do things, and that was her reason. You can't fault her. But she was not going to let go of her investment, her lifetime investment in the CDC. Which, look, CDC today, I wish they could do better with supporting women. They don't. They don't. Look at what happened to Polita and CCW. They also, after her election, she didn't win. They shamed her. They made her feel like she was nothing because she didn't win. But it was her first time running. And so these women don't own this institution. They're not executive board members, or they don't hold the position of power or authority in these political parties. And so they have different methods of fighting. So no one can say women are not serious, because there are serious women in the CDC, but they're just not getting the attention and the support from CDC as they should. And Jemima Wole was one of them.
Okay, Jemima Wolo Kwali was one of them. Well, you spoke about political CC Will being one of the first times she maybe contested a senatorial elections. You
Correct.
contested a presidential election one of the very first time. Any plans of contesting again? If so, why? And if not, why not?
Well, the midterm election was my intention. The December 2020 midterm election was my intention to push more women. We had just established the Movement for Liberia political party. It was important to get more women in the House of Representatives, but we didn't have a representative election going that time. It was a senatorial midterm election, but we did have some by-elections taking place. So we wanted to make sure women were elected, women were supported. And so I took the initiative to support women in the midterm elections. I didn't want to run. It just was not the right time for me to run. And I do know I will run again in the future, but just the 2020 midterm election was not the right time for me. I don't want to run every time. I want to find the strategic moments to run. And I want to find the strategic moments to support my sisters, because when one woman gets in, that leads the way for 7 other women to follow. And so for me, it's very important to follow the sort of, the model, the trend, to know when it's right and when it's not right.
So are you insinuating that you wouldn't be running for the presidency, rather you would be running for maybe a senatorial seat or so forth?
Oh, not at all. I haven't made that decision yet, but I definitely know I will be in the election by God's grace.
You'll be in elections in 2023. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely. We got to get some people out of there. Some people got to go.
Okay, so then let's revert to your past experience in a 2017 election. Let's revert to that. After you did not win or did not make it to the second round, did you support anyone? Did you throw your hats in?
We absolutely did. Sorry, Steve.
Who did you support? Who did you support?
Well, look, so there's a delay in the conversation here, Steve. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. In the second round, we came number 7 and we dropped out, and my team came together, and my team decided it was very important to support the choice of the Liberian people. Now, what do I mean by the choice of the Liberian people? It was pretty obvious from the statistics, the reports, the sort of the feel of the energy that way I was going to win the election. My chief of staff, my youth chair, several people in my executive committee said, "Look, Madam Cooper, we're going to have to support. We're going to have to go in this direction." And I was very reluctant. I was extremely reluctant to support the CDC candidate, because I knew that they were not going to deliver on the expectation of the people. I knew that. I honestly knew they were not going to deliver. And here we are a few years later, and they're not delivering. And so, but we went ahead and supported them. And, bargains be bargains, whatever it is. It was a choice of the people, and we respect the will of the people. And so we supported the CDC candidate. They didn't have a manifesto when we came on board. We had to make up a manifesto. We had to talk about the policies that it would support. It was all made up because they didn't hand us a document to say, "Look, you guys talk about this in your support for us." We had to make up whatever we had to say. And so here we are. The people, went to the polls and they voted, and now they have the leadership they have, which is, I'm sure we'll talk more about that later on. But here we are, exactly what I expected.
Okay, so you kind of preempted or predicted that this would be the leadership of the CDC, yet you supported the CDC.
Well, it was the will of the people. We got to respect the will of the people. It's funny enough, I walk around with 2 books now, the Liberian Constitution and the elections law, right? It has a politician in a state of these elections in Liberia. We got to have to know what the rights of the people are.
Okay, you got to know what the rights of the people are. So in similar context, I want to bring something to your attention really quick, because there was a part of your, I don't want to say your history was written in OK Afrique wrote a piece about you, and this is what the title states. This is what the title states. MacDella Cooper is on a mission to become Liberia's next female president. That was after Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Now, what's interesting in that, this is what it states at the very end of it, the very end of that article. Quote, "The glass ceiling in politics remains, and much work is left to address the lack of opportunities, justice, and equity for women. Though the elections of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf may have opened some doors, male-dominated political arenas, and believes that women cannot hold high political positions persist. So here is my question to you.
Persist, yeah.
If this is the belief, if this is the thought, I want to revert to Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's leadership. What would you say about Madam Ellen Johnson's leadership as opposed to laying the foundation for women's leadership? Considering, let's keep in mind that Ellen Johnson's leadership was engulfed with corruption, nepotism, and to some extent injustice. What do you say about that?
Well, compared to where we are now, Helen looks like a princess on a.
No, I want to revert to Ellen. I want to stick with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf because she's a female.
Let's go back in
she
time.
laid the foundation for you and other females. So what do you say about that?
That's right. Madame Sirleaf did a fabulous job, if I may say. She did a wonderful job for us women. Yes, she may not have done everything that was expected, but I think she had, like you said, the article quoted, she laid the ground, she laid the platform. It is up to the women who are now trying to stand on that platform. We have to do our part. We can't blame Ellen for what she could not have done. Madame Sirleaf has been running since the 70s. Well, let's not forget. And finally, in 2005, she was able to rise to the position of the president of Liberia. That's if you calculate from the late 70s, that's 40 years. 40 years she's been trying to run. And eventually she found her win. And so it's not going to be an easy thing for us, or easy walk in the park, if I may say it that way. We have to play our part. I'm the first woman in the Republic of Liberia to have established or accredited political party. What happened to all the other women? They are smart, educated, incredible, powerful women. But why didn't anyone think about the fact that women are oftentimes manipulated, sidelined, play upon, and put on the back burners in political parties? Political parties have the curse of establishing these boys' club, and these boys' club are for the boys. They're by the boys, for the boys, and they work only for the boys. They have these thing called wings, the women wing. You oftentimes hear about those things, the women wing, the youth wing, or sometimes the disabled wing, if they even acknowledge there are people with different ability in our society. Now, women in their wings are only called upon when they are needed to go make noise or serve the boys like good girls should. And go and sit down like a good girl. Be quiet. Don't be heard. Don't talk too much. Don't desire too much. Don't want too much. Women in those wings are oftentimes dictated to by the boys in the boys' club, on the executive committees. Those women don't have the power to walk into an executive meeting and give their 2 cents on which candidates are going to appear in the primaries or even on the list of candidates that will be submitted to the election commission. Those women don't have the power to. But when it's time for a campaign, they put T-shirts on there, put lapas on there, and go run around the street. Y'all vote for our candidate, oh, y'all vote for our candidate. When the candidate wins, they don't even know them. They still live in the same broken down houses, and their leaders got 61 houses after 5 years of leadership. So we have got to change the dynamics, we the women, if we are serious, because it's not going to take one woman to change the whole trajectory for women. It's not going to take one woman. It will take the efforts of women and men and our sons who understand. And so what Ellen did, what Madame Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did, was to show us. In my dialect, Grebo said, Dikbamu, I will show you the way. Dikbamu, I will show you, but I'm not going to do it for you, but I will show you. So when you hear a group of person say, Dikbamu, they come and say, I come and do it for you. They say, I will show you. And that's exactly what Madame Sirleaf did for us. Those of us who got brain cells and our neurals are working because we got 1 billion neurals that sense information. Oh, Madame Sirleaf paved the way. She broke the glass ceiling. Now let's go and let's fight for ourselves. So I gave her a lot of credit. Yes, people may pinpoint and say she didn't do this, she didn't do that. But for me, MacDella Cooper, she did a lot by showing us the way that women have the power to become president in the Republic of Liberia. And that's enough for some of us with visions. That's enough for some of us who neurals are working. And we have 1 billion, 100 complaining. They need to stop complaining. We have to band together and create a space for ourselves at the decision-making table, because the men are not going to do it for us. They are not going to do it for us. We have got to build those institutions ourselves and find a seat at the table for ourselves. No one is going to give us anything for free.
Okay, no one's going to give us anything for free. Those are the words of MacDella Cooper. We'll stick on the women's issue before we transition
Sure.
to everyday politics and what's going on. And sticking on the women's issue, I still want to stick with you here, considering there was also an article released about you by Afric in Harlem. And they kind of pinpointed some of your work you've been doing as a philanthropist, as maybe humanitarian activist, however you want to term it as.
Sure.
But interestingly, these are some of the things. It's interesting to know that it states here that Liberian-born philanthropist MacDella Cooper took the challenge to provide orphans and abandoned children in post-war Liberia with education and basic necessity when she founded the MacDella Cooper in 2004. So it seemed as though this work started a long time ago. But here is my question to you, MacDella Cooper. Why, and many Liberians might say this, MacDella Cooper is good with, helping, being a humanitarian philanthropist or whatever now. Why get into this politics? Why get into this messy thing? Why get into this thing that's not working, or that it's so much corrupt? It puts so much dent on your name, on your character, and so forth, especially in Liberia.
That's right.
Why politics?
That's
Why
right.
not stick with being a philanthropist?
That's a wonderful question, Steve, and I'm happy you asked that question. Now, here there are multitudes of responses I can give to you today, but let me stick with this one. Look, Liberia is my home. I'm a proud Liberian. Everywhere I go, I'm well received. I'm welcome. People like me. I'm just one of those people who just have the privilege of being liked wherever I go. But one thing I never leave behind is my Liberian citizenship, my Liberian attitude, my Africanness. I bring it all with me. And with that said, I want to see my country be a developed country versus a developing country. For 174 years, we're still developing. We should not be on the list of developing country. We should be on a list of developed countries. And so is my mission. Is my mission not just to be another Black woman stuck in a group of Europeans or Americans that are enjoying the wealth and the sacrifices of their ancestors. I want to be one of those that my offsprings, my future generation will look at and say, my ancestor, MacDella Cooper being one of them, helped to build this nation, right? It's not enough that we feed and clothe and house children. We have to take care of our nation. We have to create economic plans and bring investment to Liberia to create jobs so that we, the private citizens, are not feeding, clothing, and housing other people's children. Like no Liberian person that I ever met want to hand me down. Liberian people are strong. They have so much endurance, like most African people. They want to work and take care of themselves. They have this level of pride, not in a negative way, that they want to contribute to the country, the development of the country, and the development of their children's life. They want to see their children's children do well, or they just need leadership that would create the avenues and provide the basic social services for them to take care of themselves and their children. And so, as a private citizen, I built the MacDella Cooper Foundation to assist, put a Band-Aid fix on the lives of those who are hurting our society, the millions of people. We're only a country of 5 million, and we have a 37% adult literacy rate. That means only 37% of the people in our country can read and write their own name. The rest cannot read their own name. How are you supposed to follow the Constitution when you can't read the Constitution? How are you supposed to go to church, or you supposed to go to the mosque and you can't read the Quran or the Bible? How? What level of citizenship are we creating in people who cannot read and write their own names? And so for me, it was more than just giving free clothes, giving free food or free housing or free education. It was to build a nation. We've set so many different models in place with the foundation. We've taken girls whose families could not afford an education for them, and those girls today are enrolled in Ivy League schools. We've taken young people who are orphans on the streets, and they're going through universities today, some of the best universities. Those are things that leadership would think about, their future, not just the here and now. What we do with the foundation is an investment primarily in the here and now, but the future of Liberia has to be, let's get more people educated. Let's increase our adult literacy rate. Let's get more people working. Let's get the women on par so they can play their roles, because the women of Liberia are strong, and when they're determined, they can do anything. They can do just as good as the boy child, or the girl child can do just as good as the boy child. So for me, the question you ask or you pose, why not stay in the philanthropic world? Why engage in politics? Number one, I'm a fighter. I fear nothing but God in heaven. And so politics doesn't fear me, it doesn't scare me. I'm willing to fight for my country, to see my country be better, because I'm a great person. I came from nowhere. Today I'm a somebody. I want to see every girl child and every boy child of Liberia be better than MacDella Cooper. And so that's my vision for Liberia. So I don't have to stay as a woman who does good, for the poor people, but let me help build the nation, because I know I can. I know I can, and I will.
Okay.
And it shouldn't make anybody uncomfortable.
Okay. Let me help build a nation. I know I can, and I will. I want to play you an audio, and I'd like for you to listen, and the viewers also to listen to this. Before we play that audio, let me welcome Telvi here. Telvi, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. My apologies, I'm late. I had to go and worship. All things we have to honor God.
Amen. Amen. Hallelujah.
So I apologize.
It's okay.
Welcome.
But I've been listening even on my way home. So a great conversation. I'll listen for a few minutes.
Okay, wonderful. So let's get to this, listening to this recording really quick here. And I'd like for you to really listen to it, because this is a female, just to give you context. This is a female vice president, the current female vice president, Joy Howard Taylor. I want you to listen to what you've just said and what she's saying, and I will ask you a question about this.
Monday afternoon, that the only way for corps of officers to begin to do work is if they were inducted into office. Usually, all of the 13 commissioners might not be members of the coalition. We got one or two that might not be. You always join. There's a lot of folks join the United Party. So I'm waiting for her to call me to that district to tell me that you're joining the ruling coalition, those who are not members. The power says, how can two work together if they do agree? So us to agree, we're all the other things are. So if you think you can't make it, then you shall find somebody else. Yeah. Anybody want to see the not able to talking down, you can go far. Yes. Our lawyer was part of the meeting of the commissioners. And somebody not in the coalition, the thing I want to talk there. So you get your go, we all had in your own mind. So show you the fact that some people sitting here and not member of the coalition, that means we got nothing against you. Because then I will accept everybody. What you have done to me? Nothing, I'm done. Nothing I will do, I'm done.
Okay, well, that my time, what you will do, that my time. Well, I want to ask you this question, because you seem to be pushing one agenda, especially for females. Considering Joy Howard Taylor has been around the Liberian politics, I won't use the word forever, but for the longest. And so I wanted to know, what do you make of what you've just heard? And let me welcome Sekou. Sekou, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
We anticipated and expected you and Tel. Thank God that you guys are here. So let me go back to this question. What do you make of what you heard from the vice president, as opposed to what you've just said? This is a conflicting message from a female sitting vice president, as opposed to another female who you are saying the goal here is to channel and do. So it goes back to my initial question. Doesn't it seem as women are undermining women's agenda and the chances? What do you say?
I would say no to that, Steve. I would say no. Look, Jewel, we know that the current vice president is in a very tight situation. And I need to go back and read thoroughly and listen thoroughly to what her intentions were, because sometimes you listen to just a sound bite, you don't get the whole context. And so to be fair to the vice president, I would have to go back and listen to her message in its entirety before I judge what she's saying, positive or negative. And so, you know, one of the things I have to do is again, if I don't understand what she's saying, I have to ask her, hey, my guy, VP, what were you trying to say in our meeting there? So explain to us, because when a journalist then asks what we have to give answer to it. But based on, if I'm just assuming, look, Jewel, you know, the VP has worked a lot to get to where she is. And she said that's her time. That's her time. You know, that's what everybody has been saying today. You know, our national operating budget that people private money today. So, you know, she in a group of a, you know, she in a group where she, you know, when you in room, you do what room people in room do.
When you in room, you do what people in room will do. Or that's interesting. That's an interesting point. I'd like to turn it over to both Tel and Sekou.
Sure.
So that the rest of the questioning. But again, it was good interacting. Definitely, I know we'll interact again, and we'll keep on with the show. Sekou, Tel, it's up to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we continue to tell. I want to be here to assist her. To tell, are you ready?
Good conversation. I've been following. Obviously, no telling you're a very strong woman. I also read your profile, your work, your humanitarian work, and you ran for presidential, this presidential space for, I mean, how many times? Once or twice?
No, I ran in 2017.
2017. Okay, I think
correct. Yeah.
So you planning on running again?
Well, most likely I plan to run in 2023 election. Yes.
So, based on your experience, what type of leader do you think Liberia needs?
Well, Liberia certainly, based on my experience in a philanthropic space, for 20 years, we've been investing in education. We've been investing in building lives of others to give them the basic social services they need just to take care of themselves and their family, especially when it came to women or when it comes to women. And we plan to continue doing that. But the few hundred people we deal with, it's not enough. There's a nation of 5 million people that need those same services. And when you look around, you wonder why government and other, you know, agencies of government are not providing the Liberian people with the services they need. Why? That's the role of government, to create avenues for people to build the lives that they want, right? Not to give it to them for free. Now, if folks in government don't understand that, you have citizens that have constitutional rights to go and play those roles, or at least to attempt to play those roles, to create an agenda for a country that can work for the people, not only to work for government officials to fatten them up, and they go home and lay in a comfortable bed, and the rest of the country remains in the same conditions years after years after years. I think we're all tired of taking care of our grandma, our auntie children, our brother children. We want our brother to take care of his children and his family, but he needs a job to be able to do that. We want to make sure our sisters are not left behind, but they're also in the education process, so that when adulthood comes knocking on the door, they are prepared for adulthood. And so I want to build, from my intention of going into leadership is to see to it that we build a nation that works for all people that calls themselves Liberians, because they have no other place to call home. This is home for them.
Excellent. So obviously you've been preaching about leadership. So I'm sort of confused in the way that, do you think that in order to lead, you always have to lead from the front or be at the table, or you can lead from other areas? Like, for example, you've been in the international, I think you're Steve Kanaway, you've been in the nonprofit space. Do you think that you need to lead effectively or efficiently only as a president? Will you consider looking at other roles, even in government? Have you?
Well, tell the answer to that is I do have a constitutional right to go and run for office. Granted, I can find the money to run a campaign. I don't think look, this is my intention. This is my desire to go into spaces that I feel I can stay in and compete in. I'm not afraid of competition, that's for sure. And I know there are some people who are very uncomfortable with competition, but I'm not. And so I sort of I'm made from a different mold. And no one asks a man why he wants to run for the lead. He just gets up. If you have 5 years of age, your son would take the lead. And if your daughter takes the lead, people ask her, but why are you acting like a boy? Because they're so mentally trained or accustomed to boys taking the lead and girls should take the supporting role. I'm not the girl that was going to take the supporting role. And so I know where I belong and I know where I want to be and I go for it. And if that bothers some people, unfortunately, I don't necessarily care. It's my right, it's my constitutional right. I have my own money. I spend it on what I want to do. And I'll create every time I want. I will create a seat at the table for myself. So I don't need to take a supporting role to no one. I'm MacDella Cooper and I belong in the front.
Right. But I mean, have your loved ones or support system or your partisans ever, petition you or even have those conversations where you to say, can you be a senator? Can you be or can
Why
you
are you asking me that question, Tell me why you want me to take the back row? You don't think I'm worthy of leading our nation?
No, I don't think it's a bad role. Honestly,
Well, you keep sticking on that same question. I think we should move on to a different question because I'm not going to take a role that I don't want. I will take a role that I want.
I mean,
so you're on a radio show. You're on a TV show. I think you're doing a fantastic job as a sidekick. I'm not good at being a sidekick. I'm good at just taking my lead and funding my lead because I have my own money to do so.
Right. I get it, but I'm just asking. Sometimes I don't think being the legislature or Senate it's a side role. We know how powerful the Senate is, even in America. But it's your choice.
What's your favorite color? Tell. What's your favorite color?
Favorite color is green.
Okay, I would never tell you to take red if it's not your color.
I like red too.
Oh, fantastic! You and you share the same thing. We share that in common. But your first favorite color is green. Don't forget that.
Right. But I just wanted to pick your brain. That's all.
Look, some of us are just programmed a certain way, Tell. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some of us are just programmed. I was born amongst 5 brothers, and I inherited 2 in my mom's second marriage. So I have 7 brothers total. And in my household, I have one stepsister, Tanya W. I love that woman so much. She's like my idol. And she's a girl in the family, right? And I've always done what my brothers were doing. Just naturally, Tell. Naturally, I gravitated towards things that was stronger, that was leading. I was more of a leader. My sister, she's beautiful. She's a lady. She likes, I don't want to say typical because there's no typical thing for a woman. There's no typical thing for a man.
Right.
But I know MacDella Cooper. I know what I want. And there's no if, buts, or ands about when I make a decision. Leadership is this. You have to know who you are, go for what you want, even if you get the support of people who are closest to you or not. But when God said, go, and I will be with you, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He led me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yet do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. That's MacDella Cooper. I walk in spaces that some women will be so afraid to go into. I right now between, I coordinate investment for different countries in the region, in Africa. Sometimes the meetings are 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes the meetings are 2 o'clock in the morning. Some women will say, oh, that's too late. I'll go to that meeting. But I do it because we need to close those deals. Right. So for me, wanting to run for president of the Republic of Liberia, I know I can put Liberia in the direction it needs to go into. I know that. And if given the chance, there'll be a Liberia that's different from the Liberia we've had previously.
There's no telling women are good leaders. I mean,
absolutely. That's it. Now we're on the same point, Tal. Like now you're with me.
We got you progress, right? All right. I want to tell you, Sekou.
Well, thank you. That was a very beautiful exchange. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Ms. MacDella Cooper, I want to say welcome to SKTV once again. I know Steve did already, but I want to say thank you. I like women in leadership. I like women in politics, and I like to say that from listening to you, you sound very eloquent and somehow know what you want to do. If I listen to you clearly, it seems like you are not running for anything else but for president, correct?
We still have some time to determine that, but most likely, yes.
All right. So the last time you ran for president, that was 2017, correct?
That's correct. Correct.
So, and you say you came 7, correct?
Correct. Yes.
All right. So, what have changed since you came 7? That is a little bit of distance from being president. If you take if you came number 7, so what have changed since 2017 that gave you the courage to say, well, that the last time we fought short, maybe this time around we're going to come second or first. In fact, what have changed?
Well, Steve, 2 things have changed.
Sekou.
I'm sorry, Sekou. Yeah, Sekou. Sorry, but I kept saying
fine.
Steve previously. Sekou.
That's okay.
2 things have changed. One, if you look at the dynamics of the numbers, MacDella Cooper at 7, who was at 6? I believe it was probably Ben Urey or someone like that. Who was at 5? I believe it was maybe let's say Bromsky, Consular Bromsky. Go look at the list of those who were there. Has there been anyone to replace those people who unfortunately, the unfortunate death of Bromsky, God bless his soul, no one has replaced him. Prince Johnson is no longer going to be running for president, I suppose. And who's left? Look at the list. Today, you're talking about that. If you look at what's happening to Yomnika Lawrence, you look at what's happening to Alexander Cummings, you look at what's left, and you saw Cassell go down like a shooting star. Now you have 3 people left. You have Joseph Boakai, former VP. You have the current incumbent, George Weah. And who else do you have in mind? So you have to look at the dynamics. Things are shifting. There are a lot of people who are very uncomfortable with the 2 I spoke about previously. Liberian people need a leader. Are we still on? Or I see the screens are not moving. Are we still on? We're good. We're good. Liberian people need change. They need real change, not just change for hope that never came. The hope that was never delivered. The change never came. Well, it was hope for change or change for hope, whatever way you flip the coin. But nothing was ever delivered. 5 years into the administration, nothing has been delivered to the Liberian people. The Liberian people need options. And my determination to stand for the presidency of Liberia, yes, number 1 is my constitutional right as a citizen of the Republic. And 2, I have a plan for the Republic of Liberia on how we can move this country to create jobs for our people, so that our men can once again have that pride as men, because they have money in their pocket and they're not depending on somebody else to give it to them or to beg someone for it. We need to create a better education system for our children. I think long gone those days when only the Congo men children had access to education. We need a healthcare system. Look at how many people are dying from curable illnesses. Who has a plan in Liberia? Name me one person, one candidate that has a tangible plan for this country over the next 6 years. Or do we want to be stagnated with our women, our girls being raped to death and no investigations being taking place, or no proper investigation happening? No development in the country, no jobs. All of the investors are leaving. Even the NGOs that was informally employing people are all gone. Is this what we want for another 6 years?
So in short, what have changed for you?
What has changed? The dynamics have changed.
The number of people, the number of contestants that were there last time have reduced, and you are not seeing any viable candidate in your mind that can do better than you, correct?
Well, you can put in any terms that you want. You're a journalist. You guys are good at it. You have the gift of the job. I don't. But what I'm saying is that I have a plan for Liberia. I have a plan to make sure the 37% adult literacy rate increases to a higher number. We need more of an educated society in order to move the country forward. If we're going to create jobs, we need educated people who can execute the jobs requirement. And we can't continue to leave our young people out of the education system and expect them to follow our constitution, which is the laws that govern the land. I'm sorry, my constitution is a little old because I read it quite a bit.
Okay.
If we don't have an educated society, there is no way we'll have law and order in our country. There's no way.
Okay,
so why would we want to keep our citizens in the dark, uneducated, leave our women with no options but to depend on men, our young girls. That's all that they see that's happening. We have got to stop this right now and change the direction of our country. And so, what has changed? Yes, the numbers have changed. And number two, I have a plan for this country that will move this country in the direction that we would like to see it go into.
All right. So basically, when I asked what have changed, I was looking at it from different standpoints. One of them was, sometimes when you go into these elections, you pass through a lot of things.
That's
After
right.
that, win or lose, you will go back and see some of the shortcomings, some of the shortfalls, right? Well, this thing happened. Maybe we could have done it better. Maybe we'll have done this and that. That will have given us different results. So when I ask what have changed, I'm talking about your personal perspective, whether it's making different inroad now that you never had before.
Thank you, my man. You want to
Maybe
get on my strategy for my election, my campaign?
no, it's not a strategy.
I can't get my strategy. Then you gotta go carry somewhere else and go give it to somebody else. I can do that one.
No,
My man.
No, that's not the point. The point here, I want to know what have changed. Look at the people that not voted for you last time, 2017. What have you done to encourage them? Not because other people are not stepping up, but what are you doing? What have you done to say, you know what? We never pay attention to her the last time. I think she's the better candidate. What have you done since 2017 to change the mind of people that never voted for you?
Well, Zigu, it's really when you look at the dynamics, and sometimes it's not all about what you've done for the people to look at you. One of the fights I've been having since the 2020 midterm senatorial elections was the fact that political parties have failed to when submitting a list of candidates to the election commission. A lot of political parties have failed to include women on their list. Almost like you go to a restaurant, you take your Jew, or you want to impress your Jew, you go out to the nice restaurant, expensive restaurant. And on the menu, they tell you, when they get pepe kala, fried fish, and boni soup. That's a very limited menu. When these political parties are submitting their list of candidates for election, when you don't have a list of women or women on your list, it limits the public's or the voters' option to vote for a woman. We fought, and I'm going to come back to your point. We fought to make sure the laws were changed. In Article 4.5b, it says previously, political parties shall endeavor to ensure that when submitting a list of candidates to the Election Commission, they should try to have 30% of either gender, meaning because political parties are oftentimes established and ran by men, they should try to include 30% of women on their list. When the political parties started a big hoopla and said, well, y'all say more try because they want endeavor to ensure that you must try to put women on the list. But when you don't find women, then you can just submit on this with all the men there on it. We say no. Then let's omit or delete the word endeavor and shall ensure. Instead of saying endeavor to ensure, political parties shall ensure that when they're submitting their list to the Election Commission, there should be 30% of women on that list. Now, why do I say this? Going back to your question. Women are oftentimes not voted for because they are not on a ballot box. When their names are not submitted to the election house, there's no way Tell will be on the ballot box if you didn't submit her name, right? So what did we do? We fought to change so political parties can be compelled, shall ensure that women are on the list, 30% of either gender on the list when they're submitting that list. Goes back to the question you just asked. What has changed? It's not always about what you do for the people.
No, let me maybe rephrase my question. When I say what have you done, I'm not literally saying that I'm in the bag of rice or I know how much money you have distribute among people. No, I'm talking about the level of outreach and what have you done to reach out to sell your idea, your policy prescriptions as to who or the kind of president you will be. What have you shown to the Liberian? They say, you know
What?
what? We didn't pay attention to
Elections
this
have not
lady the
started
last
yet.
time, but now that we have known her, I think it's better now for us to take another look at her. What have you done in terms of outreach? And have you seen the inroad that you are making among the people that didn't vote
The
for you?
people will decide for themselves. The people will decide for themselves. Like Grandpa, you don't have to do too much. The people will decide for themselves. We over the past few months, we've been working tirelessly to create avenues for jobs, and that has been something that I am very strong about. It bringing investment into the private sector and investing in those private sector companies so that they can create jobs for Liberians. Now, people who've seen that and say, yes, this is someone who, when we put them into power, they will do what they say. Right. So we've done several things such as bringing investment. Now, in terms of running campaigns out of the campaign season to tell people, say, oh, yeah, vote for me. Oh. No, you can't do that because you have restrictions. You have election laws that you must follow. You have dates as to when you can go to people and say, look, last time I came, but you go to you do visits, you attend programs, you speak to the people. That's not a campaign effort or an initiative, but if you are exposed to the people hear you, they constantly engage with you, and so at the end they'll make that decision. During the campaign, the proper campaign dates, I'll be out there running, having rallies and conversations with or town hall meetings, and people get to know more about MacDella Cooper. But when we're not campaigning for office, we're running businesses. I run a business. I travel most of the time, and so I don't have too much time to just be on social media making noise for people to see me and hear me. But I know what I'm going to bring to the table for Liberia is going to be something that Liberians have not seen in a long time.
So in short, people are going to make decision just like that. What are you making effort to bring them over, to win them over, to say yes, indeed, this is the person? People are just going to go out of the blue, just make a decision.
People will make decisions that they need to make, Sekou. They will make decisions based on what options. And when I talk about having option at the ballot, people of Liberia know we had a midterm election. Look at the results of the midterm elections. I'm sorry to say this, but you had a ruling party submitting a list of 15 men, not one woman on there. Liberian people are thinking differently today. And with all the money the ruling party establishment candidates put out, people didn't care about the money. It was about, look, we're not stupid. We're sitting here, we're watching everything that's taking place. You can throw money at us, you can throw rice at us, but we know what's going on. And they didn't vote for the guy. I'm sorry to say, whatever T5 his name was. I saw the gentleman put so much money out. If money could buy election, he could have bought an election, but he did not. Darius Dillon won the election that time. Yeah. So the Liberian people are watching clearly. They're watching, and the by-election, look at the by-election.
Let's move to something else. Let me say this. Trust me, every question that I ask you is not in any way means to bring you down or...
Oh, no. I don't take it offensively.
I ask those questions because those are things that in the minds of a lot of people, we ask questions for the people. So that the answer you gave, it could win you or cost you a vote. But based on how you answer it.
We still got time to go back and fix it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It could win you vote or it could cost you a vote. But again, if you look at Liberia, you have three major things, major problems that we are faced with.
Yeah.
First, security.
That's right.
Second, economy. Third, our justice system.
Yeah.
Give me your policy, prescription as to how you're going to address those three things.
That's right.
As president of Liberia.
Well, number one, the issue of the economy. No economy works on its own. You have got to have an economic plan, and not just talking about it, like we currently see from the finance minister. He has a good gift of the jab. He just talk, and no solution. I haven't seen one thing that has been done since the finance minister, came into office, and it's, of course, it's not his plan. It's not his responsibility to create an economic plan for Liberia. It's the president's job. But since he's a supporter of the president, he should work with the president and the rest of the team to come up with an economic plan for Liberia. They don't have a plan. There has not been one, and there's not going to be one. Just the talking is not going to solve the problem here. And so I was waiting to see if they will come up with an economic plan after 1 year of being in office, 2 years of being in office, but still it's all talk. And so for the economy, we need a tangible plan. And one of the things I plan to do is, one, diversify the economy, diversify the Liberian economy. From J.J. Roberts' day, we've been trying to say iron ore. When the iron ore, nobody buying iron ore, we get money in our country. We have got to diversify the economy. Look at sectors that can create jobs for us immediately. The fishery. Look at all the water we get around us. We're not invested in the fishery sector. Look at tourism. What makes us any different from places like the Gambia? Gambia's economy thrives on the tourism sector. You look at other, like agriculture. We are still, it's a song we all sing as politicians. We imported $200 million worth of rice. Next door, we're doing an investment. I'm not going to say the country name. We're doing an investment on an agriculture plant there, where one gentleman is creating rice, growing rice that he bags and sells in the country. So we brought the investment to him, and he's going to grow rice enough to feed the country and sell to the neighboring countries. Why aren't we doing that in Liberia? We should. And government should take the initiative. Government should take the initiative and diversify our economy by investing in alternative sectors. That's my plan on the economic side. Now, you talk about lawlessness and injustice. You have all these unaccountable murders that's taking place, no proper investigation, or it's quasi investigation, you get no proper results. Even when autopsies are done, it's play around and it's always the same thing. We have got to get a little tough on law enforcement in the country. But first, it starts with paying the law enforcement officers proper salaries, giving them the benefits so that they can focus on doing the job and not while they're on the job trying to find small hustle to take care of their families. Because it's normal that...
No, you just muted yourself. We're not hearing you.
Okay. Yeah, a call just came in and I had to...
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so you have all these uncounted, or uninvestigated murders that are not investigated. We have got to get a little tougher on law enforcement, and that would get the justice, sort of umbrella sort of open, because how can you trial a person when you don't have proper evidence? The last time we're on the streets, the women of Liberia were fighting to stop or end rape. There was a promise of DNA machines to be brought in the country. Where are those DNA machines? Have they convicted one rapist? Now the rape cases are high again. Our mothers were on the street in Newtown the other day, walking around with banners against stop the rape of our girls and our children. I plan to be a little tough and make sure we enforce law and the law and order. So it's like a chicken and egg. Which one comes first? Fix the economy, put law and order in place, make sure we educate our people so they can read our constitution and know what the laws are of the land, so they know their rights and the next citizen's right, because where your right stops, you on somebody else's right. So to your question, Sekou, there's an economic plan which is diversify our economy, be stronger on law enforcement, and invest in the justice sector so that the courts can put these can trial these cases, but with proper evidence. You cannot try a person and convict them without proper. Sorry.
So on the justice system, how do you plan to fix the justice system in Liberia? Because
everything needs an.
Yeah. So I just want the right people. I just want to get some some of the know-how, the how, the what, because I can say yes, when I become president I will do X, Y, and Z, but putting some meat on the bone will give other people, say, well, I think she gets
what Sekou, you have a person, a justice minister like Musa Dean, the Honorable Musa Dean. He's a man who well equipped when it comes to the law and the Constitution of Liberia, and he knows his job. But unfortunately, the sector is not invested in. All of these different sectors or these ministries are struggling. Most of them don't have the proper tools they need to enforce the laws. So we talk about evidence-based trial. If you're going to enforce the law, you have to have evidence. You have to give the from the justice minister his what do you call it, the TOR. And make sure you give him the tools, not just a TOR, but the tools so that they can be able to do their work. The country is absolutely disconnected. The roads are disconnected. When you hear about a trial or a case in let's say, a place where I hail from, where my mom's side of the family hails from, River G, you hear about murders or these sacrificial murders. There's no proper tools. We had 3,000 trained police officers across the country. You had more than half of them in Monrovia and a few others spread around the country. That is not enough for trained police officers for 5 million people. We have got to train more people. That means we need to invest in the sector. We have got to invest in training our officers, giving them the tools they need, pay their salaries so that they can take care of themselves and their families. So when you talk about tangible, I can't get more tangible than that, Sekou. Unfortunately, let's start with the basics. Let's start with the basics. Pay the law enforcement officers and make sure the courts are supported. I know a lot of judges across the country, they can't even go past, some of them don't even have printing paper in their courthouses. Printing paper, just like the medical sector. You gotta go, when you go to hospital with a broken arm or a cut, you gotta buy your own medicine or your Band-Aid before the doctor can work on you. It's the same thing happening in the courthouses across the country. Most of our ministries don't have the money. They're generating resources, but it's going to somewhere else for someone's private use. And so how can we have law enforcement? How can a justice ministry work, or just justice in general across the country, when the people don't even have common thing like a printing paper or pen and I know ink, common things like that? How can you function? You don't have light. You don't have electricity power to function, to computerize your cases. Everything is analog. It's analog, meaning when Tel come in, her case, they write her case down. My girl, what happened to you? They write it down. They put it on top of Joe Brown. When would they be able to go back to pull Tel's case from a pile of paper? This is a disgrace for a country that's about 174 years of age. We have got to digitize our systems so that when they pull Tel's information, oh yeah, she came here with a case with Ripple. Yeah, her file right here, she came with another case with Ripple. It matches. There's a synchronized system. There's a digitized system where everything is linked. Nothing is linked. We're still doing ancient of days things. So when you talk about the basic things we'll do is to invest in every ministry. Give the ministries and the agencies the tools they need to get the job done. And that starts with paying their salaries.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. So folks, if you're just joining, well, this is SKTV as always. Tel, I do have a lot of questions, but I don't want to just keep you here sitting watching. Let me go back to you. Probably you have one or two questions. If not, I will continue with questioning.
Yeah, I mean, we always got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So I still want to go back on one of your questions where you guys were talking about the dynamics of the lecturer space. Ms. Cooper, when was the last time you did a survey just to see where things are? I understand that the people that were in the race have changed, but at least the voters, when was the last time you did a survey to see where we are?
Where we are with regards to my electability?
Correct.
Well, it's an ongoing effort.
Polling,
My
right?
team is currently, sorry?
Good. I mean, I think she's trying to talk about internal polling.
Right.
No, sure. Well, my team is on the ground, and they're constantly in the communities. We're doing a feasibility right now, of viability studies, and so we'll get the results hopefully over the next month or so. By June, we hope to get a result in. We always do that before going to an election. You do like a survey, you ask people questions about the candidates and where they stand with regards to the candidates and the candidates' message and the candidates' platform or the manifesto. And so, yeah, but unfortunately, Liberia is not like your sweet America. They put in, sometimes you ask them a question and they say, look, the person will come from this small team, the person I'm voting for, yeah? This is not where, it's like in a Western world, the voters take care of the candidates. In our neck of the wood is the candidate who have to take care of the voters until you can get them to the polls. So it's yes, you have people who ran on popularity that were very well known. When you go everywhere, people say, oh, that man we don't hear, we know what one policy or that girl, that one that she popular, we know one policy she pushing you, but we'll vote for her. Those days are gone.
Well, but I think it's a good thing to just to pick their brain too and see where they are, what their thoughts about you, and also help your strategy too. I understand we're
Absolutely.
more advanced here, but I
Absolutely.
think
No, it's important to do that at every election. It's very important to get a feel of the ground and see where people are.
And
And
you're
and
gonna
not
make
just about you, It's not just to find out information about you. It's also to find out what's meaningful to the people. What
Exactly.
platform?
Exactly.
What's the struggle at the moment? Because what the struggle was in 2017 may not be the struggle today. Things can shift.
And you're gonna make that survey or whatever it is public.
No, it's being done. We do it every time.
But you're gonna make that public?
No, you don't make that public. Have you know of any election from Liberia who made that public? You see,
It's a fair question.
you in America, I'll tell you in America, America thing that behind.
That's a fair question. Fair question.
No, you can't. It's not like your Western world. We keep our election process very private because if you put your secrets out there, someone can take it easily, go give it to another camp, and they can have a lot against you.
I think the same thing happens here too. So, but anyway.
But in a different way. I think you guys have laws, institutions that prevent people from doing certain level of things. Unlike here, where we don't have those institutions that are independent. When a person is in power, they control all agencies of government. Now you saw the previous. I'm going to sidetrack for a quick minute here, Tel and Sekou. You saw the last administration in America where the institutions protected a nation versus an individual who was in power destroying the institutions. So we don't have that yet because we don't have strong institutions that's independent of the head of the country.
Okay. So I saw you holding the Constitution there. So let's go there. So if given the opportunity to amend anything the Constitution, what are your first two things you're gonna amend?
You get, I know what I hate you get on you, but you get good head. Let me tell you why we're amending that Constitution. You got good hair on you.
You know what I can enjoy?
Uh-huh.
When she ready to, she put it the library colloquial.
And
then when she try to be political, she try to speak this.
I also do that in business, Sekou. I do it in business as well.
Good. I've been waiting. Go ahead.
Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, so our current constitution has a stand. The first constitution was established in 1847, right? And after the coup d'etat in the 80s, there was an amendment that took place in the constitution. And they made an attempt to include all people of Liberia instead of just the settlers that came, which was the right thing to do. But I thought in the 80s was a great time to work on all of the problems of the Constitution. Because if you look back in our history, you will see that a lot of the colonial powers came to these African nations when they were trying to establish a democratic platforms and establish democracy. In the process, we looked at our colonial powers' constitutions, and we did a lot of copy and paste, right? So since Liberia is under the umbrella of the United States, we took everything of the United States and we just copy and paste and change it to our own sort of thing. But realistically, it was the same laws, same constitution, same language, and whatever that was just copy and paste and put inserting the word Liberia in it. And what happened in America in those early days? Men were in charge. Men were in charge of every sector. Men were in charge of everything. Even white women didn't have power to vote. And the same thing ended up in the Liberian Constitution. So in the 80s, we changed some things around when Liberian women got power to vote. But still, our Constitution, although it was amended in the 80s, 1986, still says every citizen of the land is a he. The language needs to be changed. Now, we talk about citizenship for Liberians, and that's something that was in the referendum, the last referendum that I was part of the team that fought against it. Why did I fight against that particular referendum? Because here we were again in 1986. A lot of the things that were supposed to be changed were not changed. The people who wrote the Constitution, which were led by our old folks. One of them just passed away recently. The Honorable Amos Sawyer. Those guys did a great job, but there were a bunch of men again sitting around a table doing what men do best, thinking about themselves and those who they like, versus women who think women's leadership. And Sekou, forgive me for saying all of this. We have some men who are on the team with us, and I'm sure you're one of them. But these men sat around this table and created a constitution that worked for them. They thought about everything they needed and put it inside, not thinking once about the young people and the women. And so there are about 21 items in the constitution that was put during the last administration that was put on the table for the referendum. Now, this administration, the Wales administration, came in and they decided to pick and choose out of the 21 items that's supposed to be changed, and they took a few and put it on a referendum. We said no, except you can do all of it. We're not going to accept any of it. And so we made sure that referendum didn't pass. Why? Because the issues pertaining to the lives of women and young people in this country still was not included in a referendum. And if we pass that referendum, we wouldn't have a chance to do another referendum anytime soon, because referendums are very expensive. They're very expensive to do. And they did it all wrong, of course. It was all wrong. There was no education. There was no awareness. There was nothing. They took the referendum, the sycophants put the president picture on it, and they thought we were supposed to see president picture and go vote for referendum. We say no. Until you can change the language of the referendum, until you can give women recognition, change the way women are recognized in the Constitution, we're not going to support that referendum. And so the 21 items, I can sit here and list all of them for you, but I can send you a personal note on those 21 items that need to be changed. Even marriage, the kind of marriage that we recognize in the country. There are several things we have to change in this Constitution, but most of them, yes, dual citizenship is one of them. Should we allow Liberians to have two citizenship? I say yes, but at the same time, we should hold back on giving other citizens the right to become citizens of our country. I say we should hold it, even the issue of land purchasing. I say we should hold up until Liberians can fix their own economy, get an upper hand in the economy. Don't give the economy away to other people. So this is where I stand on the Constitution, Tel.
Excellent. That's it. One last one, Sekou, and I'll turn it to you. So if given the opportunity to serve in this leadership, will you accept the role?
Absolutely.
Okay. Why?
Absolutely. And get the right team to help move the country in the right direction. And make sure every gender is represented on the decision-making table, the young people, the elders, the women, our men. We need everyone's opinion when we're crafting laws, when we're crafting policies, and even the budget. Today, you have women not having access to resources because women are not fully represented at the decision-making tables. So when decisions are being made, and I know I talk a lot about women's representation, we know we already have the men at the decision-making tables, but where are the women who are talking about the family issues? The men are talking about highways. They're talking about how they can drive their car on, which road they will drive their car on. But women will say, oh, but what about the safety of the road? What are the laws for the road? Because we got the children and the old people in the car. We can't just drive fast car by ourselves with our girlfriend there because we get girlfriend. Now, those men that get girlfriend, we can drive only two people in the car, kind of car. We got car with family inside. We need laws for the road. See,
so have you been asked to work for the current leadership?
No, I was never asked. And I don't think I would even accept it if they asked me.
Why?
Because they're gone too far into messing up the country. I wouldn't want to be a part of that circus.
Okay, fair enough. Over to you, Sekou.
Thank you very much, and I'm enjoying the conversation. And I hope we'll come back here again and talk more politics. It is your first time here. I want to encourage you to, even though you say you're too busy to be on social media, but as a politician, I will encourage you to do more talking. Because the more you talk, the more people will know you, the more people will know about you.
That's right.
Your plan. So going back to Liberian politics, are you affiliated with the CDC party? Have you affiliated in the CDC party in the past? Or have you have any connection, whether it's political, social, or family connection with the current president? I know this is tough.
Sekou, my man, apparently you journalist, you read a journalist book here. And you do not ask that question to the president, you can't ask one that question.
No, but if the president avails himself, we ask him.
Okay, but here's the portion of your question I will answer. You leave personal matters off the table, but no, I'm not by any means affiliated with CDC. Now, in the past, yes, of course, like I said on the show early on, we did support the Weah's campaign in the second round when we were knocked out. Why? Because based on what was happening between the two candidates, which is Joseph Boakai and George Weah, it was pretty clear to everyone that Weah was going to win because that was what the people of the Republic wanted. That is what the people wanted, and so we respected the will of the people and supported the Ware's campaign. And had it been Joseph Boakai that people wanted, we would have supported Joseph Boakai, who was my choice to begin with. But now we supported the will of the people, and we supported the Ware's presidency. You knew it was one of those things where you knew that, wait, this is what you guys want, you have it, and let's give them a chance to see what they would do. But unfortunately, 5 years later, we have not seen anything tangible that has been done for the country by this administration. And so we are not interested in having them return to the position next year. We want to see a change in Liberia. We want to see a change of administration. We want to see Liberia under a new leader side, let somebody else do the job. Because at the end of the day, I get the feeling and the impression that the people behind Mr. President Weah are the ones who want the job. But I don't think it's a job that every President Weah wants. So let's give it to somebody who actually wants it.
So the reason why I asked this question is because somebody will say, oh, you know, this person ran 2017 and came 7 and got less than 1% of the vote. Perhaps
15,000 votes, yeah.
Yeah, it was less than 1%. I think probably about 0.77%, 75%. I'm not sure.
No, do but
I believe it was less than 1% of the total vote. But what I'm driving at is that somebody will say, well, she couldn't even have 1% in the election, but she's coming again. She wants to run. Maybe she's just one of those people sent by the CDC just to come and make the field crowded, take votes from other candidates, because CDC will always be CDC regardless. So she just come in, maybe make the field crowded and take vote from other opposition in order to pave the way for Weah's second term. That's why I asked you whether you have any connection, affiliation with the party, the president, whatever. I just wanted to clarify. So let me say this.
Absolutely.
If somebody asks you, if somebody say, you know what, the person with that opinion say, you know what, you didn't even get 1% the last time. Why are you coming in there? Are you coming there because you want to be on the spotlight for opposition in government, or you really think you can win? How would you respond to that person?
Well, like I said previously, the will of the people must be respected. And
this has nothing to do with gender. I just want to be clear.
No, I understand. Okay. The will of the people must be respected. One, the people then wanted this leadership. From what I see, the people don't want this leadership. And the people are going to go to the polls and vote for an opposition candidate. That's what's going to happen in 2023. I'm proposing myself as an opposition candidate, where there's no intention to support this a return or continuity of this administration. That if that's what the people this time around, we got to let the people know, no, you already got your trial period, and now it's time to do something different for the Republic of Liberia. And so, no, I'm not here trying to pose as an agent for the CDC party. I have no interest in the way the CDC party is ran. And I never became a member of it. There is no form that anyone can put outside and say, here's MacDella Cooper CDC form. Never, ever. Maybe in the past, like in the second round, we supported them because we were out of the race. And as a political leader, you make a decision. What is a favorable decision, but as a leader, you make a decision to do something, not just sit on the sidelines like some other political leaders who decided they wouldn't make a decision. They would just not even vote. If they're not voting for them, they would not vote. So we had to go to the polls and lead our supporters to a certain camp, and we led them to this camp. And unfortunately, we are telling our people now, no, this is not where we think we should go. We should go this way. And that's what a general of any leadership or any army does. You lead the army. And we are certainly not an army standing for CDC, for sure. We've seen enough of them. I'm not interested.
So if I listen to you clearly, you said that you supported the Weah campaign because you found out that was the will of the people.
That was the will of the people, correct?
Um,
And it was pretty
when,
obvious.
and when you say that was the will of the will of the people can only be clear or clearer after someone is pronounced a winner. So when you say the will of the people in the second round, how how do you determine that we are with the will of people before the election?
Well, it was pretty obvious across the country. You know, based on statistics, everyone was leaning towards the country giant. And it was pretty obvious. If you were in the country, you knew right away. Bokai didn't have the chance to win that election during that time of the 2017 second round, even with
Internet.
Yeah.
Internet.
support of. Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, we're having a bad
Yeah, it was the
connection for
internet.
your end.
We're having some issue with the internet, but it's good now.
It did not.
Yes, I'm in Africa. Sorry, guys. But if we get disconnected, I will log back. I think it's 1.5 hours now, so I may have to run to another meeting. But I
Yeah.
would say this: even with the attempt of the late Brumskin and Cummings being in the sort of lawsuit with Bokai, which is, look, it was pretty obvious in the country across the board. Anyone who was in Liberia knew that it was going to be given to the Wayas camp, and so there was no if buts or ands about it. Now, what we
So
did
so
behind
so
the
so
curtains.
going into the election, you already saw it from the people that it was time for we to win, but yet you stay win and try, correct?
When I try what now?
Try to be
You mean
president. Even if you knew, when
no, no,
when
no, no.
when
We're
it
talking about
due.
the second round. We're talking about the second round, Sekou. We're
Okay.
not talking about what happened in 2016. We're talking about the second round. Because in the
Uh-huh.
first round, I did not give my support to anyone but myself,
Okay.
my bid. And
Okay.
so it was the second round. We all had to make a choice between Bokai and Wea. And what I'm saying was that it was pretty obvious in the country that the second round was going to yield to victory for the CDC-led, what do you call themselves? The
CDC campaign.
correlation.
Mhm.
Yeah, the correlation. There was a much larger correlation behind the CDC group than it was behind Bokai. Although Buckeye, at the time also had this hindrance with the issue with the former president who was stepping down, and the CDC led team, or the CDC team, play on that, which made it seem like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was in full support of them and was against Buckeye, right? So when you're in the country during the second round between October and December, you felt it, you knew it. People, the conversations, even from the radios and the media, it was all about, you saw a stronger unit going behind them, and which has changed today. Let me just say this has changed massively today. It's not the same. They've lost two major elections in a short period of time. And I know the conversation has been that those people who lost because the people don't like them, but they do like they lead on the ticket. So we will see. We will see if that's true.
So one last question. I don't know the arrangement as to how long you. I'm sorry if I keep you here for longer than expected. I think we just lost her. Hopefully, she will come back. I was going to ask for us to at least take a few calls. Yeah, but let me.
I didn't know we have her for 1.5 hours either. Because
Yeah. So I think she's coming back. I wanted to know the arrangement. I think she's back. Let me see here. Hello? Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here. It's a little foggy, but
Yeah, some grinding.
Yeah, something is grinding for some reason.
yeah, it's grounding for my end
You
as
want
well.
to? Yeah. So
Ooh.
Maybe I should
I was. Yeah.
Let me reconnect.
Yeah. Get out. Get out and come back in, please. So I want us to take a few questions, and hopefully she will come back. We'll have a conversation. Okay, this is about our country. Is about somebody wanting to be president, that's not a joke. That is
Yep.
serious.
It's
That is
taking.
very serious.
I'm also confused too because just hearing that she voted in the second round for these people, because she did mention earlier that they're suckers, they're clown, they're incompetent. So even did she know that they were incompetent after she voted them? Because if she knew them to be incompetent, there are a bunch of circus people in the circus or zoo, I would call it, whether it was Baikwa or George Weah, I would not vote for either because neither one of them fit my criteria, regardless. So I'm confused too.
Yeah, I think like I was saying, hopefully she will come back. If not, if she can come back today, another time we can catch up. We will be happy to have her here. Um, again, we are. I like women, in politics. I really want to encourage a lot of women, especially Liberian women, to be in power. Because in life, I just believe, for my mother, right? I believe women sometimes to be angry at stuff faster, but they get sympathetic heart. They look at it, they look at the situation, and say, you know what? Even they are angry at you to the certain level, but if you do what is right, they are very easy to let go. They can be quick to to take some decisions sometimes, but they can be very sympathetic when it comes to forgiving or doing what is right. So with that, I believe we need more women representation in our government, in our decision making, so that they too, if they can't do it for you, they will do it for their children. If they can't sorry for you as a man, they will sorry for their children. They will say, you know what, this is the future of our children. So I like to see women representation in government, in private sectors, everywhere of our lives. So if I see any woman trying to enter government or attempting to run for a political position, I always want to encourage you. But I want to make sure you are genuine. I want to make sure you are not being played on. I want to make sure that somebody is not trying to use you at the expense of other women under the pretext of women empowerment.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of tough, in fact, in Liberia to have a woman running on women agenda
Yeah. It's hard to survive.
only and win.
Yeah, it's hard to survive in that space.
Because there are a lot of people who feel uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
with women leadership.
Right.
There are a lot of people who think that women are second class when it comes to decision making. There are a lot of people who don't want to compete with women, and they are the one running politics of Liberia. There are people like me. I would love to see women in power. I want to see more women participation. I want to see a lot of women in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, so that when decisions are made, they will be on the table to make decisions for their children, because the children are the future, and they represent the country. Tomorrow we're not going to be here, but our kids will be here.
Right.
So let's see here. I think
Is
we already
she
got
is she
calls.
backstage?
No, I'm not getting any message. But I'm
But
about.
want to take some calls?
Yeah, we just got one call that just came
Okay.
in. Let me see.
If you want to put the other phone too, that's fine. I can take some calls. I just need to get to it.
All right, yeah, go get it. Caller, what is your name and where you calling from?
Yes, Seku. Hi, my name's Gwen. I'm calling from Detroit, Michigan.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I'm not sure if you guys were taking calls right now. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
we're
if
taking calls
MacDella
because we lost connection with the guest, so we can take calls now. We were about to take call actually,
Okay.
but we can go ahead.
Okay, I've been writing since Miss MacDella Cooper been speaking, and I really appreciate her effort, and I appreciate all her zest, and I love women being empowered. But I just have few questions. I'm not trying to put any woman down. Of course, I could be the one in that position. But I want to know, and I was asking from the very beginning, and since my question wasn't answered, I said, okay, I will just come out and just say what I want to say. I've heard that Miss MacDella Cooper has a child from Mr. George Weah, and I'm not. I said, okay, I will just come out.
We're having feedback.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I'm sorry.
I think you are. I think you.
Let me stop. Yeah, let
There
me
are two
stop.
monitors.
Yeah. You need to turn off the monitor.
Yeah, I stop it.
Okay.
I've heard that Miss MacDella Cooper has a child from Mr. Weah. So, as I was even writing on the screen when she was talking, I know she has all these good ideas, but it kind of like almost like a conflict of interest to me, knowing that she has a child for George Weah. George Weah has literally run our country into the ground. Now, what trust do we have to give the country to his baby mom? I mean, it's something maybe it's not true. She will have to come out and say, "I do not have a child for this man." But I mean, I don't see where our country will be going with all these things that she's talking about, all these good positive things. But her baby daddy is like literally taking our country to the daring Liberia, putting Liberia in a place where Liberia will need for a lot of years to come out. Secondly, she supported him in the elections. Like, I myself knew that this man was not capable, he's not competent. So no matter what the situation, even though the Liberian people were supporting him, I personally never supported him. And I always tell my friends I supported him, I'm like, hey, what were you guys thinking? Now, she supported him, and I would question her judgment. She knew that he wasn't able to do this, but you would just go ahead and support someone just because the other people are doing it. You know, I question your leadership abilities right there. So it's just something like she would have to clarify. She got a child for this man. I don't think she should even bother because we will aggressively campaign against her. We would tell people, hey, this man is ruining the country. He has no leadership ability, and we do not want his baby mom here.
All right, thank you.
In so many other roles.
Thank you very much. First of all, we have to establish first whether the information is correct before you can ask. Because Ms. Cooper, are you taking note? Because we lost.
Can you hear us, Ms. Cooper?
I think the line
is frozen.
Yeah.
Seco.
Jaco, the number that you just something I can't see it.
You can say you put it again.
No. I want you to tell me. I'll just write it down.
Oh, 469.
469.
469 674 3668. I don't know. I think Ms. Cooper is frozen. 3668.
668. All right. Yeah, she's frozen. I think
she's frozen, but I wanted to come in on that question. Or
the internet is not giving.
How many three? You put a number 3 times. You put it at 2 times. Oh, that's 2 number plus the other number. Okay, we got 3 lines. Okay.
I have 2 numbers.
Okay, I forgot.
SKTV got 2 numbers.
Oh, okay. But you used to see 2. That's why.
Yeah. So first of all, we need to establish whether or not the information that she is a baby mama for the president. When I ask, do you have any connection, whether political, social, or family, with the CDC or the president? That question
indirectly was speaking to that.
Yeah, that's something exact. But I don't talk the way other people can talk.
Right.
So but I just wanted us to establish that fact first of all, before you can say, oh, you know what, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. Let's make sure whether that in fact that is the case.
But Sekou,
You hear us.
But Siko, even at that though, whether it's a fact or not, we have to look at the scope of the discussion. How relevant is it?
No. Sometimes people talk about issue or conflict of interest.
But there's no conflict there because one thing, she doesn't work in this government. So, and she's expressing different ways how she feels about the government.
But I don't know. Ms. Cooper, can you hear us?
You can be here responsible because your party is in office and you're running for office.
That's true, but that's true. You know who can answer that question?
No, she can't answer. We just have some time. But I'm saying is
Sekou, I know you have for answer, but remember your show is not a tabloid show. If it is, then as you give your show a different connotation.
What do you mean?
She's frozen there.
Yeah, unfortunately, she's kind of, All right, let me take this caller while we try to get her. Caller 862. What is your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Dr. King, Thomas King, calling from Illinois.
Dr. King?
Yeah.
All right, Dr. King, go ahead, sir.
So, the thing is, I feel like a woman running for the higher office in the country should not be questioned about her relationship, like having children, with anyone. Because if we look at our country, okay, we have to be very honest and fair. There are a lot of us, including my mother, that have my brothers and sisters by different men, okay? That does not choose that person character or has anything to do with how they're going to do things. So if we are here questioning MacDella Cooper because she have a son or if she have a son with the president, we should question every man in Liberia that also have children by multiple women. We have to be fair. And that is one thing with this country. We cannot separate based on gender or ethnicity. We need to be very fair because a lot of our fathers, okay, also went with multiple women. There is not a day that we question them. Okay.
Let me just interrupt you for a second. I think it's a fair game to ask people when somebody suspects conflict of interest. Let me say why. If this person have some family connection with the person in power, and you are coming to me to vote for you to unseat that person, I think it's a fair game to ask that question.
I agree with you.
Because listen, people try to be very thin-skinned when relevant questions are asked at times. But once you're running for the highest office in the land, and somebody's in there that people are saying that you have a family connection, it doesn't matter voting for somebody. It's nothing. Anybody can vote for anybody. That's not a problem. Somebody can, but people will question the genuineness of your intention. Perhaps maybe this person is not really coming to move this person. Maybe this person being sent by the other person. That's why I asked to avoid conflict of interest, so that people listen, as eloquent as she is, as she seems to be, on top of issues, she may give some people that want to support her. But it's a fair game to check on the genuineness of her ambition, that she is not somehow a spoiler or somebody who is sent by somebody based on the family connection to come and just muddy the water for other people. So that's the question.
I think a better question would be: do you have personal relationship with George Weah? Do you know him to that extent? And
that's the question I asked.
That's why I said, what kind of leader do you think he is? Instead of asking her, "Is he a baby?"
No. About who born for who? I don't think that's not important. That's not important. But it's a fair game to ask about relationship. Go ahead, my brother. I'm sorry.
Do we ask these men that come on these platforms, do we also ask them these type of questions? How many women have you had?
Now, I don't think that was the question. So nobody asked the lady to say how many men have you born children for? No, I don't want you to say that.
Insinuating that these people, I just feel that if that is the case, can we question other people during the Civil War whose family have killed other people? That you also have the same problem?
Yeah, anybody that run for public office, trust me, it's a fair game to ask you these questions. If you think it's relevant, ask the question. But the point is, the person who's running for office, it's up to them how they want to answer certain questions. Because you know what? Every question will be asked, regardless. Some may sound stupid, some may sound irrelevant, but when it comes to you, the way you respond to them will say a lot about who you are and how you can manage under certain circumstances. So what I'm saying, my brother, is not important to ask somebody who you're born for, who you're not born for. No. But if somebody running for a political office and there's a signal or that the person has some family connection with that person, it's a fair game to ask about that relationship. Because to avoid conflict of interest. But that has nothing to do with your personal life as to who you're born for, who you sleep with, who you didn't sleep with. No.
But she's not running for office in this government, this leadership. She's not
running against this government.
Yeah, but she's not working for them
she's running against them. She's just running against them.
Against. So if my ex-husband is president of Liberia, what does that concern me? Whether we got children, what does that concern me if I want to run? No, very.
Hold on. Let Mr. King, let Dr. King conclude. Then you can you can come and make
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. King.
I agree with the questions. It should be a fair questions. But the thing is, I'm also asking those who are listening on this, okay, to understand that because she's doing it, we need to scrutinize her.
Yeah. Everybody else, we asked everybody else serious questions.
We should not put that as the front thing to say, I will not vote for this person because they have children.
But the lady that was speaking, that's her opinion. The lady that was speaking, that's her opinion. That's not opinion of SKTV.
Perception. You are correct.
Yeah.
You are correct. It's a perception. Therefore, I'm putting it out there for other people who perceive things. Because in our country, one person perception becomes the general stuff for everyone else. Because we know how in our country a lot of our people are uneducated. So I just want to put it out there saying that perception should not make us, not even MacDella Cooper.
Thank you.
Anyone else.
Yeah.
It should not make us because we all in our country.
No.
A lot of people.
No problem.
Terrible things.
No problem, Dr. King. Let me take a next call. We apologize. I don't know, for some reason you're having some issue with the internet there. We're good now. Can you hear us now?
I can hear you very well. Yes.
Okay. So Ansu, wait a second. I think this is Ansu, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ansu, just wait a second. I will. So we were about to actually take a few calls because we were running into another meeting. Mm-hmm. And then unfortunately the internet started acting up. So please allow us take a few calls, respond to those calls. Yeah, respond to those calls of concern. Maybe we can play another time again.
Yeah.
For more, for more of this kind of show. But you know what? It's very important that you come on a show. Not only the particular show, but in any show, avail yourself.
Absolutely.
The issue, but to clarify a lot of things is very
absolutely.
Good. Yeah. So, Ansu, you are on the line. What is your question for Mrs. Cooper?
Thank you so much. It's more a comment than a question. I mean, this is a lot of things that I agree with. I just want to point a little thing out you said that I super agree with when it comes to granting citizenship to people who do not have Liberian heritage. I agree wholeheartedly. Until we up our economic capabilities to be able to protect ourselves, we should not go and citizenship where we're going to be subjugated in our own country. But I want to say this to you before I go. I maintain, and I continue to maintain this heavily. Anybody who's running for the presidency, his or her life is no longer private. Everything, nothing is off bounds, even if they don't like it. Because when it comes to the presidency, we cannot take this issue lightly anymore, because there are dire consequences for the population. So everything we have to know it. No question is out of bounds. That's what I want to say. Thank you so much, Ms. MacDella.
Thank you very much. I believe the same too. So long it comes to the presidency, everything is on the table. The president received the question, the way they were answering it, that's what mattered to me. Because you know what? You're not forced to answer any stupid question. You can choose the way to answer it, but it's okay for people to ask the question. So, caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Seku, sorry, I had to call back. I just want to clarify. I'm calling from Detroit again.
Okay, so when you call earlier, hold on one second. When you call earlier, the guest was now on. Now she's on. I just want you to go directly to your question. You don't need to clarify anything somebody else say. Go to your question directly to her, and then she will address it. Please.
Okay, I just want to ask. Yes, is it true that you have a child by Mr. Weir?
What's the young lady's name? Sorry.
Let her finish. What was your name again? Because the guest didn't get your name when you called earlier.
My name is Gwen. I just want to clarify. I'm not talking about how many relationships, because someone was talking about relationships. I will be the last person talking about how many women, how many men or women have relationship with. I myself have had children before I got married. But I just want clarification, because this is an example. For example, Claudia is running for presidency. The way we vote will be different. I just want clarification. Is it true she has a child from Mr. Weir? Can she please tell us?
All right, thank you. So Ansu's question was it was actually a comment. He agreed with you on a lot of stuff, and you also agree with me when I said that once you're running for president, every question will be asked. It's up to you how you
absolutely. Sekou, you're absolutely right. And I think the same goes for journalists. Once you're the one talking about people and asking questions, people start diving into certain areas of your personal life that they want clarification on. And we as politicians, I'm very open with my life. My life has been absolutely an open book, and I hide nothing. I have 3 children, my 3 lovely children. And yes, my last child was produced by who is currently George Minor Weir. And I want to make it very clear to the young lady who called, because she has every right to ask that question. And I have every right to answer that question. And I want to say to her that, look, her concern was that because I produced a child with George Weir means we have similar vision for Liberia, which is absolutely not the case. MacDella Cooper has a 4-year university degree. I have a plan for Liberia, and I wish the same question that's being asked about the private life of a female, the only female in the race, would be asked to every male in the race as well. Because I think sometimes people tend to ask women questions that they don't have the guts to ask a male candidate. And so I am a proud mother of a beautiful little boy named Hilaria George. And that doesn't mean I have any connection in the belief system of George Weir. Everyone have a relationship, and a relationship ends, you go your separate ways, and I've gone my separate way from George Weir. I have absolutely no dealing with him or his administration. I don't benefit, neither does my son benefit from anything he has acquired during this administration. I'm happy to show anything to show that is the truth and nothing but the truth. So I am an open book, and I'm here to serve Liberian people. And any question they have, I have no qualms answering those questions.
Thank
you. All right. So I'm glad. I'm happy that you answered the question and you answer it correctly.
But I've always did, Sekou.
And I've never heard somebody asking you this question before. I heard about it. It was like information in the air, and for me personally, those kind of things don't concern me that much. I look at vital issues.
That's right.
Confronting our people, but the people also within their right to know.
Absolutely, I agree.
And
Yeah.
I'm glad that you. For me, I think you have put that to bed.
No, more people are going to ask, and we have to say the same
On
thing.
this platform now,
More
for
people are
this
going to ask,
platform
and they have
today,
the right to ask.
maybe somebody asks next time somewhere else, just like
I will
you
direct
did.
them to your show.
Yeah, making sure. And this was very short and on point. It's okay.
Because
So
the
And
question
there's
is
no
not
conflict of interest there. That has to be established. That because
absolutely.
I try about somebody, there's no conflict of interest there.
no.
Absolutely, because the people don't want to know whether it's true I have a child, because everybody knows that. The whole Liberia community, both in Liberia and in the diaspora, knows that. But what they want to know is, am I here trying to hold a place to gather votes for George Weah? And my answer is absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't believe in CDC's ideal for Liberia. I don't believe in that division, how they run the country, how they have destroyed. I don't believe in any of what they stand for. And that is why, look, in any woman's life, if you have a child with a man who's a sitting president, you will be there trying to reap as much as you can. But because I don't believe in this, in the way they run the country, I have fully removed myself, where I'm not benefiting nothing from this administration, nothing at all. Neither is my son. My son has not received a dime from this administration. Any benefit has a so-called son of George Weah. He has not received a dime, and I will put that on record today. So I'm happy for anyone to do any proper investigation to see that that is true. Because I'm not running because I'm vindicating. Also, that should be very clearly stated. I'm not running because I'm vindicating. I have always had an interest to run for office, and I will stick with my interest.
So I think we are about to go now, but I want to ask one last question.
Absolutely.
And that is, we have a crowded field in Liberia when it comes to Liberian politics, especially when it comes to presidency. Will you be willing, even before the first round, will you be willing to collaborate, to join a collaboration, or to work with anybody that will have some similarity in terms of agenda, in terms of policy prescriptions? Will you be willing to join him with any political party or politician right now? Not to be a sidekick, as you put it, but at least a decision maker, somebody that could join together to collaborate your effort to consolidate the plans so that to move the country forward. Will you be willing to do that as opposed to just running as you?
Well, Sekou, here's my response to your question. My response is, my number one mission is to see to it that the opposition win the 2023 election.
Okay.
And I know there have been several attempts to build an opposition bloc, and there's some internal wranglings, but we are not going to allow that to stop us. And so for MacDella Cooper, I'm open to conversation with the opposition bloc. As a matter of fact, I would like to see an even much stronger opposing force. So this current administration, of see to it that come 2023, we have a new administration in leadership in Liberia, entirely new administration. And so the conversation is open. I'm excited to talk to anyone. I'm open to talking to anyone. I'm not sitting on your show giving you an answer, say, oh yes, I'm waiting to step down. No, I'm open to a conversation and any collaboration that can be done. Look, that's what we have to do. We cannot, no man's an island. No one person is going to win this thing. We have to join forces. And so absolutely.
That's great. By the way, I have two other women in line to come on this platform in the next few weeks or days to come, and those are women also in power. So I got two calls, please. Let's take those two calls, and then you
absolutely
them, and then in close. So let's take the first call here. I think this is Dr. Kumara, Ishmael Kumara. Ishmael, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Yes. Welcome to SKTV. You go ahead.
Thank you, Sekou. And I wanted to add a little context to one question she asked. I think that was sort of ignored by you. And I think the question was asked to an extent, there's some trivialness to it. But the chair has also said that the question
that Gwen asked didn't have any conflict of interest. I think there is a potential conflict of interest, and I think it's fair to ask the question. I don't think the question was asked because MacDella is a female, and I don't think people should be asked simply because you're female. And the question Gwen asked was speaking to the fact that MacDella, in the past election, compromised with George Weah, knowing that George Weah was either an inactive candidate or was in the right country, but still went ahead and, in fact, gave her blessing to him. And I think the question that they raised, though, is whether the decision that she made then was influenced by the fact that she has a child with George Weah in any shape or form. To me, that question is legitimate. And I'm glad that MacDella has put the issue of her relationship with George Weah to rest, and I think it's fair. But I thought the question, there was a need for that question to be asked for her to address the issue of conflict of interest based on her history with the CDC. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Before you go though, I think for her, for her, she said clearly that her decision to support George Weah in the second round basically was driven by a team around her, not just her individual decision. So to me, that would put the idea of whether or not it was predicated upon her relationship with George Weah in terms of having a child, but because she said clearly that the decision was by her people and she followed. Yeah, the question was relevant. I agree with that, but
it was previously addressed. She addressed it adequately.
And for Liberian people to want to see, when the team were making that decision, the Liberian people were not there. And so it's fair for them to ask that question. I don't think it's fair for someone to say, well, is it because she's a female? That's
no. The gender has nothing to do with that. I agree with you on that. Thank you, Ishmael. Yeah.
Thank you, MacDella. Good job.
All right. Caller, what is your where you calling from? Caller on the second line, 9917.
Yeah. Good afternoon to you, and let me say good afternoon to your guests.
Good afternoon.
I want to add my voice to the many voices that have called on your show this afternoon. I think Prosecu.
You didn't call your name.
My name is Vafi Duple, and I'm called from North Dakota, Grand Force.
Okay, go ahead, Vafi.
I think Prosecu history does not erase but remind us on the present situation. The issue there is that your guest knows George Weah and the team that she worked with. Let me say to you, Prosecu, sometimes it is good to make independent decisions. Some of us here, let me be frank with you, some of us here, we do not believe that she is going into the race for sincerity and to be president. We believe that she wants to gather a vote for George Weah. That's why, because we are looking at the history. This current election, she pledged her support to George Weah, and she knows George Weah more than the team that she worked with. She could have declared to support George Weah or to bless George Weah, but she did because of some relationship or something, or benefit. I don't know. But let me
say, I would like to answer this question while he's on the phone.
Let you conclude, please.
Yeah, can I conclude, please?
Yeah, conclude. I want you to conclude as fast as possible.
So like I was saying, Prosecu, we are not convinced that she is going into the race to serve the Liberian people. We believe strongly that she is going into the race to gather vote for George Weah because we want to judge her from the history.
All right, conclude now, please.
So
my man, Lena, so we can answer the question here. Lena, the airplane gotta go down small.
And lastly, Prosecu, she said something that I agree with. When it comes to election in Liberia, people are mostly focused on the women. They ask the women personal questions, and they don't do that to the male candidates. I think that is wrong. When you want to ask a question, the questions should go across. It should not only be limited to one Ghana. I think that is wrong.
Thank you.
But to be frank,
we got to leave it there.
More than 1 minute.
We got to leave it. We got to leave it there, my brother. Thank you very much. Allow her to respond to your concern.
Okay. Well, I really want to have an interactive response with the gentleman that just called. I didn't remember his name, but
Ducle. The last name was Ducle.
Ducle. That's right.
His name is Vafi Ducle.
Yes.
We have the last call. Can I take that?
One more. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's the last one. Caller 763. What is your name and where are you calling from? Caller 763 number and last 4 DJ is 4160. Hello.
My name is Ajay Boga.
Your name is? Hello.
Hello, are you there?
Hey, you need to tune off the monitor and listen to the phone directly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why you cannot delay. You got it?
Yeah, are you hearing me?
Okay, I can hear you. I'm hearing you now. Go ahead. Your name and where you calling from?
Hey, my name is Ajay Boga, and I just want to contribute a little bit here.
Go ahead.
I mean, I've listened to a few callers, the first caller especially. But at this moment, I just want to say to MacDella, I've not met her, I don't know her, but I'm fascinated to brilliant women. MacDella is a very brilliant lady. From her responses to all her questions, and the way the questions were asked and the way she responded, I think she's very brilliant, especially with the question about her child with the President George Weah. For me, I think that question, I don't want to say it's a senseless question because everybody has the right to ask the question the way they want to ask the question. But sometimes people have to kind of build their own intelligence or kind of look at their own intelligence and ask certain questions that will be very, keen to the discussion or substantive to the discussion. What does having a child by somebody who is a leader, who is at the height of an office, and another person who has a child by that person still has her own vision, as she put it earlier, want to do her own thing and move her own life into her certain direction or her ambition she has. What does that have to do with anything? We have to get away from this thing of being sentimental, and just be genuine to ourselves and ask the right questions that will make us to look as real intelligent people to other people.
Thank you.
The second thing is
I want you to conclude, please, if you can.
Okay.
Because we'll keep the lady here forever.
The idea of people thinking that because she has a child by George Weah and maybe it's gonna hinder a lot of things. For me, it has nothing to do with it. She kind of was with George Weah before. She gave her support to him earlier, and now this time around she decided not to give her support because situational approach. Things happen in different times, and based on that, people have the right to divert into different set of their lives, their actions. So I just thought that to see it and people should kind of really think over things before they kind of post questions or deal with people's personal business as it's not supposed to be. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
No problem, my brother. Thank you very much. So we will leave it there for anybody call now, you're on your own.
You're on your own. We gotta go. We have a
right. Just what you do, I want you to take your time and respond to those questions, and then you can close.
Sure. No, it's great to hear from the people, and that's what matters. And to the young man, I really want to specifically start with Ducle's concern. The only thing I want to say to Ducle is that we live in a day and age today where we have everything from, we're in the fourth stage of the revolution, the global revolution. We have this thing called AI, artificial intelligence, right? And we have still our own human intelligence. Now, with our own with our very own human intelligence, we have this thing called data to support, things that we say. So, for example, if you ask MacDella Cooper how old is she, I have data to support to confirm my age here. I wish someone like Ducle will go back to look at the history of MacDella Cooper, like the last gentleman just said. I have my own intention. I've always had my own things. Look at the years I spent, running my own foundation, have my own resources. establish the MacDella Cooper Foundation. Yes, raise some money as well to add to what I had to execute the work I had set out to execute. Now, and look at the time frame of when my involvement with the short time frame, my involvement was with the Mr. Weah, and the time I exited that relationship. People have to go back to use data to support their comments and their conversations so they sound more intelligent. That's why some of us do when we come on these shows. We research questions, we research what we're going to talk about, and make sure we have numbers. And I sometimes it irks me a little bit. I shouldn't be, but it irks me when people speak without having things to support. Now, the young lady who called, she called because she wanted data from me to support her question and to answer her question. But for a young man to come on the air and say, oh, we don't believe, it's first of all, it's one person, it's Dukle. It's not a we. There's no group. It's not Dukle's group. It's we. And so to Dukle, I hope he's still listening. If you don't believe that what I've said on this show with my foundation, the 20 years of building a foundation on my own, before my 7-year-old son came into play, and the time I exited to go run my own election in 2016, and yes, as a leader, as I said on this show earlier on, and I will say again, leaders have to make decisions, whether it's popular or not. Sometimes as a leader, you will stand alone in your decision. And that's it. So I made my decision to support what the citizens of Liberia wanted, and people won. I supported Boto Kane from Babylon County, she won. I supported other candidates, they won. Now, just because you let Joe Weah now, that one reason why. Look, I'm not here to support Joe Weah. If I were here to support Joe Weah, I'd be singing Joe Weah song. I don't have. Look, I'm a MacDella Cooper. I'm an independent woman. I'm happily married. I have 3 children with a beautiful, gorgeous husband that I like. I don't know. People got to look at data. Look at some of the things that we're posting out there. Although I'm not a person that posts a lot, but there's a picture of my beautiful husband. Is he George Weah? Absolutely not. 2 different people. I will not be married to one man. Then I say I get you for one other man. Then I'll be looking at him for what? For what thing? You move on as a woman. You make a decision. You stand with it. You move on. So I'm not going to go back to that question.
So you put that part in the Liberian English.
I put that one right there, Liberian English, in the wrong way, so they can understand roots. Because some people hard of hearing when you speak Google English today, they won't understand that when they say, "Oh, you speak American."
Yeah,
so you gotta real English where they can understand. Because people come from village.
Key takeaway: you make a decision, you move on.
You move on. I've moved on from where I have no intention of going back to where I love my husband. His name is MacDella Cooper. He's with me everywhere I go. He's with our children. MacDella Cooper is an independent woman, moved on from anything involving where I have no connection with.
What was the husband's name again? If you don't mind.
Aliyu.
I
brother now.
Hey, I want to know now. You know. Aliyu, what? What's the last name?
Kebe, Kebe.
Aliyu, I heard it, but I don't want to confirm it. Aliyu Badra Kebe. Okay.
I will connect him when you said you can do an interview. The man helping a lot of young people, a lot of young children, both females and male soccer players to go to Europe. He put it in. He has a whole camp.
I say, condemn me.
Yeah, we have been calling you Miss Cooper all day. You correct?
No, yeah, how many married one? Hey, you guys, you see my man say you would want him. You guys. Yeah. Don't me play.
Don't condemn her. Don't condemn me. But you know what? I really enjoy the conversation. I want you to take some time and close.
I just really want to thank you guys for having me on your show today. I think this is a great start to a great conversation that's going to spiral across the country. Of course, MacDella Cooper never come on a show without having controversy the next day, but you got to get used to it. Who doesn't like what I say? Hey, we got to win some and lose some. And so we're going to lose some. And we're going to have to take it that way. But I want to just say thank you. Thank you for the great job you guys do to get we the politicians on here to come and talk to the people, because the people matters. And without them, we're nobody. So I just want to thank you to everyone who's listening. And thank you to my brother Sekou and to my sister Tel and to Steve, who was here before. Thank you guys so much. And may God bless you. And whatever I can do to be a part of this platform, please do let me know.
For sure.
Thank you. Thank you
very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. And stay on social media. Let me add to what Sekou said.
I always say you the man picture you get. Can we do that?
No, not a man. Social media.
Because
social media. What I mean is, even if you're busy, hire somebody to work on your social media.
We do.
As a matter of fact, we're going to be bringing her, from time to time here to have a conversation. Even it's not only about you, about the general politics. Sometimes you have to come and talk. It's important.
Absolutely. About women empowerment. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And I am on social media, just on a MacDella _Cooper on every platform, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, and yes, we're on every platform. I've just been busy with. Request. Okay, very good, excellent. I like LinkedIn also. It's easier to use for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Always.
So tell.
There you have it.
Any announcement?
I know.
Still don't leave you with anything?
No, I think it was a good show. It was.
No, I'm talking about you guys have anything.
Oh, for the week? You know that Steve can bring the announcement. I know we got things cooking for the weekend.
But hey, by the way, today is the end of Ramadan.
Oh yeah.
We are fasted for 29 days. Today we'll make it 30. And tomorrow we're going to be celebrating.
The celebration. That's my favorite part.
To Mohammed Keitao. To all the people, Google people down there. To Rufo. Everybody. If you're not saying my Ramadan, you're not saying because I fasted for 30 days now.
Yeah.
So, Tiako Umpa.
You know, coming sporty here.
I know what I would do to her. Because if you come from the airport, the player will start harassing you. Yeah, but it was a great show. Thank you, Tel. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it was.
We really appreciate it. So everybody on here, please, if you must say my Selmafo, we call it Selmafo. Selmafo means so you got to say my Ramadan. Other than that, when you come here, I will call your name. I'll be spoiling your name.
You gotta go live for the celebration, though.
Yeah.
You gotta go live with the celebration. That's my favorite part, the celebration.
Okay, I will try. I will try because it's a big deal. Imagine after fasting for 30 days,
right,
consistently, not like one day in between.
Right.
It's hard, but it's a God's blessing. It's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Anything for God is the best thing.
We thank God.
Yeah, but thank you, everybody. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow. If I'm not here, Steve will be here, and Tiako will be here. Maybe I'll be busy enjoying myself, but I will try to be here if possible, because we have a lot going on. Thank you very much, and you got it.
Bye-bye.
All right. I'm looking for the song Steve won't play, because Steve... Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to play Steve.
Malolo.
No, I think I'm going to play Samalolo, yeah? Yeah, you reminded me. One of Samalolo's songs that he just sang, one of the best songs, that have my name in it, my picture, everything in it.
Oh, yeah?
The reason why I didn't play that song during the month of Ramadan, there's anything there in the song that I don't want to play, I don't want to see.
All right.
When I'm fasting. But it's a very good song, very beautiful song. But sometimes when you're fasting, you don't let to see women in a certain way,
Right.
Yeah, but other than that, that's one of the best songs. But today I will still play Samalolo, his other song. Yeah. You want Samalolo or you want Afuketa? Which one you want?
So I like Samalolo.
You like Samalolo?
I like the beat.
Okay. I will play his new one. Where's Samalolo song here, my people? Well,
anyone. The quick
yeah.
Anyone.
I'm not seeing the new. I'll play the old one too. That one is funny. Let me just play. Let me play this boy here.
Anything.
Kemo Kante.
Luti ke baba kora ay ramina la de maya le labi luti ke baba korayamba ay ramina la de maya le labi kwani saya ramita la na te diora lumi hallelujah gigi ledi saya ramita la na te diora lumi hallelujah gigi ledi dunia ni aligia mate atunya loro awakabade ya buya sine imaye kono ya gikela yiri bolonnedi yiri temo gigi didioro sobo ya gikela ulabaledi ula temo gigi difa monifi ya gikela wolonennedi deye mo gigi ledi dunia ni haligia mata tunyandoro anyi silamba dengani na dunia timiri isorotu mama inani fali mabubula timiri moya tu mama irakili lagi mademe naye timiri koroya tu mama ibade bandu gimadula ikanagina ila bango koni jomi la balo bane yale mo mademena koba sabali duero woli ibade ya do salale koba sabali duero woli ibade ya do tununale musoko ni manyumba soro yebade ya do salale nafuluko ni maken kilila yebade ya do salale duko kuma naluma ke konya adala bankele maubake bedi warangini abutumangi kabade ya bunya sinebi Imaela dia kabulo diako kwani beni lo dia le bade yaro si dia kabulo diako kwani beni lo dia le bade yaro bade yato no kabu bade yakadi kasilam bade yani na illa anye bade yaru yasine Tonya ebade ya liro kafo anye bade ya buya ala yere ebade ya lefe kabade ya buya sine moya ebade ya liro tonya anye bade ya buya mo bade bali mademena kuma na monifia sababu le konekele ni foranya na jonye kele lagine kalula karifala dutuna kele sangara kalula karifala kumani kuna kalula karifala tununa kukumani bantama yeli ni kama siga fadi maduzula de suma worokande love mbedi la londo singani ke modenke yazana kuruma denke Kamara muso sabakele Gelike mo kantefa Mbalu kantefa Ferema kantefa Ila kele Tunya fola lukara mo ni papa digele Kugumani bantamba Nyani ni kama siga Fadima duzula de sumauro Ibe makiba Bila silalima Kwani mana mo kana ben silado Kwani na sumauro Ila o papa ila Setana vamo milo kujukela ibade mala Setana wulila yarabila bade nyale tunya bade nyala fisa bade mo bade bale gima demena Ali fenti bolo ibade bale gima